Chapter 3 of The Blythe Girls, Helen, Margie, and Rose, by Laura Lee Hope. This Liverbox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 3 The Strainer Man. After breakfast, which consisted of scrambled eggs, burned toast, and not very excellent coffee, Helen called a council in the living room. "We have to decide what we're going to do, girls, and then do it as quickly as possible." "It seems to me it will be a great deal easier to decide what we're going to do than to do it," said Rose, sitting cross-legged on the couch and munching at one of the very greasy doughnuts she'd brought home the night before. "If all you read in the paper is true, there are a great many more girls wanting jobs than there are jobs to go around. If you begin your career by believing all the papers say, I certainly feel sorry for you," remarked Margie roundly. Then she said, as her eyes fell upon the partially devoured doughnut, "I wish you'd put down that horrible thing, Rose. It makes me sick just to look at it." "I am putting it down, the right way," chuckled Rose. "And as long as it only makes me sick, you should worry. But go on, Nell, you were saying something, weren't you?" "I thought I was," retorted Helen dryly. "And I think you had better not take this matter so lightly, Rose. It really isn't anything to laugh about." "Well, you don't see me laughing, do you?" protested Rose, her mouth full of doughnut. "To tell you the truth, I am just about ready to burst into tears, only that I know it would ruin my complexion." "Not half as much as that doughnut will," laughed Margie, adding seriously as she turned back to Helen, "You were right about our deciding at once what we're going to do, Nell. You will stay home here, of course," she added decidedly, "and keep house for us and go on with your art. As for me," she hesitated doubtfully, "I can use the typewriter, and I know a little bit about stenography." "Oh, you're in luck, Margie Blythe!" cried Rose, abandoning her cross-legged position on the couch and speaking eagerly. "Stenogs draw down tremendous salaries, and with your brains and looks and everything, it won't be any time at all before you get to be a private secretary. And then your boss, he's sure to be a millionaire, will fall in love with you." "I suppose he won't have anything else to do," agreed Margie, dryly adding with a chuckle, "You forget, Rose, that it's only in storybooks that the employer is young and handsome. Probably my boss, if I'm lucky enough to get one, will be a crabbed old body, blind in one eye and with chronic indigestion." "What difference would that make?" said Rose calmly. "If he had plenty of money." Helen and Margie looked at their little sister in wide-eyed surprise and were about to launch on a lecture when they saw that she was laughing. "Well, now that I am successfully married off to my wealthy employer," said Margie, turning with a laugh to the still serious Helen, "what shall we do with this little imp here? She isn't really good for anything except to be spanked." "What do you want to do, Rose?" asked Helen. "I'm going to get a store job. They pay pretty good money and you get good experience if you're willing to start from the bottom and work up." Rose spoke defiantly, as if expecting opposition, and was ready for it. "And it's lots of fun, too. You meet so many people and everything," she ended rather lamely. The two older girls did not react to this plan, as she had feared they would. They merely exchanged significant glances and then looked long and thoughtfully at Rose. "Oh, stop staring, do!" the latter exclaimed vehemently, fretted by this prolonged scrutiny. "Really, I'm not a curiosity, only an ordinary girl trying to find the best and quickest way of making money." "You could study stenography, too, go to school with me," Margie began slowly, but Rose shook her golden bobbed head emphatically. "I don't want to go to school. I had enough of it in Riverdale. What I want to do now is to make some real money and see something of life." "Oh, you'll do that all right," said Margie dryly. "There is one thing about a job in a department store. You certainly do meet people of all kinds." Helen gave Margie a warning glance and put an arm about her youngest sister. "It's all right, dear. If you're sure that's what you want to do," she said with an explosive sigh of relief as Rose snuggled closer. "If at any time you want to change, to do something else, we can arrange that too. Of course, the most important thing just now is to start the money rolling in." Rose jumped to her feet, her eyes shining. "You're a perfect brick, Nell. I thought you maybe wouldn't let me. Oh dear, where's my hat?" "Where are you going now?" asked Helen, bewildered, as always, by her sister's abrupt changes of mood. "To get a job, of course," replied the girl. But as she charged toward the hall, she was caught and held firmly by the practical Margie. "Hold your horses, my dear," she drawled. "Do you think jobs grow on trees around here, just waiting to be picked up?" "Let me go!" cried Rose impatiently, but Helen added her voice to Margie's. "I'll need you at home today, Rose." And Rose knew that for all of Helen's gentleness, when she spoke in that tone she generally meant what she said. "We have to unpack and get to rights, and I couldn't possibly do it all by myself." "And tonight we will get a paper and look up ads," added Margie, releasing her hold of the crestfallen Rose. "You have to go about this business systematically, dear. Now be a good girl and take off your hat." Rose obeyed, flinging the hat among a clutter of boxes in one corner of the room. "Oh, well, all right," she said sulkily. "If I have to stay in this hole—" "It's no worse for you than for the rest of us," began Margie heatedly, and Helen hastily assumed her role of peacemaker. Rose was often irritating and capricious, and Margie possessed a temper that got the better of her at times, so that Helen often found it a hard task to keep the peace between the two. "We haven't said a word about what I am going to do," she reminded them cheerfully. "And as I am not at all sure about it myself, I would welcome suggestions." Rose said nothing. She had gone over to the window and was sulkily staring down at the busy street. Margie looked at her sister in surprise. "Why, I thought we had settled all that," she said. "You're to stay at home and keep house for us and go on with your art studies. I should think you would be able to take a course in the afternoon so that you wouldn't have to give up your evenings." Helen shook her head and there was an infinite wistfulness in her eyes. "I should like that, of course," she admitted. "But you know courses cost money." "Oh, pshaw! The Kitty and I will soon be making enough money to put you through a dozen courses, you dear old simpleton!" cried Margie gaily. Then, as she saw that Helen was not fully convinced, she added: "And maybe you'll be able to sell some of your sketches after a while, Nell." "Say, girls, who do you think is coming?" cried Rose, turning to them, her face all animation again. "It's that good-looking Strainer man." End of chapter 3.